run through the SEC, boy.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Jay Youngblood Experience. This is Christmas Eve, and we're going to be talking about what happened in college football in the first week of the playoff. Now, Notre Dame got an easy route with Indiana. They played a team that hasn't played anybody. And also, this is episode number 70. This is episode number 70. Episode number 70. We have done 70 episodes so far. I appreciate all the support out there, everybody that has been listening. I do want to get into the Notre Dame and Indiana game. Now, a lot of Notre Dame fans have been talking to me and saying all types of BS about how Notre Dame beat Indiana. Now, let me just say this. This is going to be Notre Dame's national championship. This is going to be Notre Dame's national championship. I'm just going to go ahead and say it out loud. Because Notre Dame has to play Georgia in the second round. And the best team that Notre Dame has played this year has been Texas A&M. And we saw what happened to them at the end of the season. They did not come to fruition as everybody thought they would. And Notre Dame also played them at the beginning of the season when, they're still trying to test a lot of the waters out. So, Notre Dame, listen, this is your championship. Congratulations. Everybody clap for Notre Dame. You finally won a big one. I'm honestly happy for you. Y'all have been dry and in a drought for so long. Y'all haven't been able to win anything. You finally go to a playoff game. They had to exceed 4 teams for you to get in and also get a win. So this is your first college football playoff win. I am happy for you. Let's clap one more time for Notre Dame. And not only did you beat Indiana, you beat Indiana by only 10 points. Obviously, the box score doesn't show the whole game. If you watch the game, you know this game was not a close one. Not even close. But you did win. You did win. And y'all have been in my DMs, all the ones I talk shit to on TikTok, all the ones I talk shit to on Instagram and Facebook. Y'all have been in my DMs talking about what now? What you gonna say now? This is what I'm gonna say now. Notre Dame, you finally got your championship win. This was your championship. You don't play a conference championship. You finally got a big win. But this is what I gotta say. Notre Dame, you have to play Georgia next game. And I don't think that game's going to be even close. I really don't. Notre Dame, it's not going to be a close game for you. I apologize, but it will not be a close game. Georgia's going to be too much for you. Too much depth. Too many problems up front. Too many problems in the secondary. You were not ready for that game. You played Indiana, only won by 10. You only won by 10. Yeah, you beat them in total yards by over 100 yards. Congratulations. Pass yards, they beat y'all, though, at 215 compared to 201. Rush yards, listen, the defense did show up. Notre Dame's defense did, in fact, show up this game. And I'm very surprised by that because Notre Dame's defense, if you watch that Northern Illinois game, in Notre Dame, by the way, your defense didn't show up. Your offense didn't show up. But in this one, it did. You held Indiana to an abysmal 63 yards rushing. An abysmal 63 yards rushing. So shout out to you there. And y'all almost had 200 yards rushing. And yeah, I'm going to talk a lot of shit. I'm going to say, hey, Notre Dame, you were not ready for the big time. And I'm going to continue saying that. For sure. This is not something that's going to change. By the way, if you're asking why there's such a change in venue today, I am at my parents' house doing a podcast. This is Christmas Eve, baby. But I don't take no days off, bitch. I don't take no days off. Because we have to talk shit about Notre Dame. We have to talk shit about Georgia. We have to talk shit about all these teams that didn't show up for the college football playoff. But obviously, we have to start off with Notre Dame versus Indiana. Like I said, rushing, y'all killed them. Defense showed up front, held them to 63 yards rushing. Indiana is who we thought they were, and Again, did they deserve to be in the playoff? Sure, they deserve to be in the playoff based on their record, based on how they played in the conference. In the Power Four, no longer Power Five, it's a Power Four now. So yes, I believe that they should have been in, but Indiana is still Indiana. This is not a game in which you're playing a team like Oregon. You're not playing a team like Ohio State. You're not playing a team like the Georgia Bulldogs. You are playing Indiana. You're not playing this big team. What has Indiana done? They have done absolutely nothing. They have done absolutely nothing. Nothing they have done is impressive to me or has impressed me. It just doesn't. Notre Dame, you are acting like as if this is your national championship, and guess what? It is. It is your national championship. And why do I say that? Because this is where the buck stops, unfortunately for you. Because you got to play a powerhouse in the Georgia Bulldogs next week, or not next week, but next game. And yes, they are starting a quarterback in Gunnar Stockton, who is obviously not Carson Beck. He's not tenured. He hasn't played in a lot of games because Carson Beck is a tenured vet. But Georgia's defense is going to eat you alive. It's going to eat your asshole for breakfast. And that's what's going to happen. I can tell you that right now. So don't come in my DMs. Don't come in my Snapchat. Don't come on my Facebook. Don't come on my Instagram with the bullshit Notre Dame. Don't come with it. You still had one interception by your quarterback to match with Indiana's quarterback. And I can tell you this. I can tell you this straight from the goodness of my heart. This is where the buck stops for Notre Dame. Notre Dame, you are not getting past the Georgia Bulldogs. As much as I hate to say that, because you all know I hate the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm not a big fan of the Georgia Bulldogs. But Georgia still has a good team. And a team with Kirby Smart, who I think is the best coach in college football, who is going to outcoach your coach, who is going to outplay, who's going to call plays that is going to eat your offense alive. This is not even going to be close. The Georgia Bulldogs are going to run through this offense, run through this defense. I think Trevor Etienne is going to show up in this game like we haven't seen him just yet. When it comes to your quarterback, he was 23 of 32, 201 yards, one interception, one touchdown. He didn't play his balls off. You played a team in Indiana who hasn't played anybody. And listen, if y'all do hear any noises outside the podcast, listen, it's Christmas Eve. My mama's in there cooking. My mama's getting ready. And yeah, her team, Alabama, may not be playing in the playoff. And like I told her, in the Alabama team, you can't lose 3 games. And you can't lose 3 games not only in Oklahoma, but the entire state of Tennessee beat you this year. You simply just can't have that. So that's why Alabama's not in there. But let's get back to this Notre Dame game. Notre Dame at one point was up 17-3 in the second quarter. Third quarter, they're up 20-3. And obviously, Indiana made a little rush there with 14 points in the fourth quarter to try to make it somewhat close, make it look somewhat of a game. But we both know, all of us know, we watched this game and it was really not a game. It wasn't. It wasn't a game to be said. This was the closest game of the week when it comes to the first round of the playoff. And again, I have zero faith and I mean zero faith, that Notre Dame plays Georgia in New Orleans, in the great state of New Orleans, or in the great state of Louisiana. Go Tigers, by the way. Go Tigers. I don't care what any of you have to say. Go Tigers. But I don't see Notre Dame coming out and beating the Georgia Bulldogs, beating Kirby Smart of all people. You think you're going to come out and beat Kirby Smart in NOLA? No, sir. I don't see it happening. So congratulations to Notre Dame. You got your Super Bowl. You got your national championship, and that's as far as the money goes for you. You will not be going much further than that. Georgia's going to come in. They're going to bull rush you. They're going to take you out. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. It's just not going to happen. And like I said, stay out my DMs. Stay out my Instagram. Stay out my Snapchat. Stay off my Facebook with all the bullshit because I don't want to hear it. Notre Dame, you beat an Indiana team. Like, can we clap for these motherfuckers real quick? You beat Indiana. Nobody's happy for you. Nobody's proud of you. Nobody thinks anything you did was anything monumental. Congratulations. You beat Indiana. You beat Indiana. And I have names I can call out. I have names I can call right now on the podcast. And I can call you up on the podcast and we can have a conversation about how they're not going to beat Georgia because they're simply not. It's not going to happen. But I am happy for you. You got your Super Bowl. You got your national championship. You finally won a playoff game. And you didn't fold under the pressure. Congratulations. But like I said, Georgia's going to bust that ass whenever y'all play them in the second round. Next game I got for y'all was going to be Penn State versus the SMU Mustangs. And when I can tell you this game was, all these games were a bunch of jokes. And obviously a lot of people were talking about the playoff committee needs to be doing better in the coming years. I think what the playoff committee is doing is trying to have some dark horses, trying to have some teams that, may not have gotten the go ahead in recent years and put them into the playoff, trying to see if they would make any type of movement at all. And unfortunately for the SMU Mustangs, this is not what happened in this game against Penn State. It was 38-10 to end the game. At second quarter, it was 28-0. This wasn't even close, guys. Kevin Jennings of the Mustangs had 3 interceptions, only 1 touchdown to show for, only 195 yards. Now, Drew Eller, by the way, didn't ball out in any sense of the word. He only was 13 of 22 with 127 yards. What really helped this team in the Nittany Lions is the rushing attack they had. They rushed for almost 200 yards. Only passed for about 135. But that rush game put the Mustangs out of play. Along with the turnovers that came with the SMU Mustangs. The SMU Mustangs are simply overrated. 3 interceptions thrown by their quarterback. This was just not even close. It was a disappointing weekend. Total yards, Penn State 325 to SMU's 253. Pass yards, SMU had about 202. The Nittany Lions 136. Rush yards 200 coming from the Penn State Nittany Lions, only 58 from the SMU Mustangs. Turnovers, it was 1 for the Penn State Nittany Lions to 3 by the SMU Mustangs. It was another blowout of the first college football playoff weekend. And time of possession wasn't much different. About 3 minutes for the Nittany Lions. But it just showed how overrated not only SMU was or is, but also how overrated Clemson is and how close they came to losing to the Mustangs in the ACC championship. Just that close. So I have no respect for the Mustangs, for the Clemson Tigers, and I really don't have much respect for the Nittany Lions either, but they won. They did what they needed to do. They needed to show out. They needed to prove something. They needed to prove something to us watching at home to make sure we knew that they deserved to be here, and they showed it. Absolutely showed it. So congratulations to the Nittany Lions. You won. You finally fucking won a big one. You finally got in there, got a bit dirty, and won a game when it really mattered. Now jumping into the next game. We're going to be talking about the Clemson and Texas game. And this one was another one that it really wasn't close. It was 28-10 going into halftime. Clemson is who we thought they were. Quinn Ewers didn't even have the ball out in this game. Nope, not at all. Rushing attack again in one of these games took the cake and was able to get Texas to win. Quinn Ewers only had 200 yards passing. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, Cade Klubnik, 26 of 43, 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But it simply wasn't enough to put this team over the top. It wasn't. It wasn't a close game. Clemson looked like they'd never been here before. Clemson looked like they were not ready for this game. And I guess we can call Texas SEC again. We can call them SEC since this is their first year. And they proved it well. They proved it very well. Almost had 100 more yards total in total yards. Clemson beat them in passing yards. Indeed, they did. 336 to 202. But the rushing attack and the defensive stands by Texas. The rushing yards by Clemson was only 76 to 292. Almost 300 rushing yards by the Texas Longhorns. It put them over the top. It really did. When it comes to turnovers, it was 1-1 by each team. When it comes to time of possession, only within 5 minutes. Total plays, only within 5 plays. When it comes to punts, Clemson had 4 punts to Texas's 1. This just shows you that Clemson is not as what we thought they were in past years. But I have to give it to Cade Klubnik. He came out and played a fucking hellacious game. 26 of 43, like I said, with 300 and almost 40 yards. 3 touchdowns. But Clemson's defense simply could not stop the run. Jaden Blue, 14 carries, 146 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Longhorns. Like I said, Quinn Ewers didn't have to do much, and he still looks injured. He doesn't look 100%. He doesn't. But luckily, they have to play Arizona State next. And I think they win that game by a margin of probably 14-plus points. You can take that to Vegas, bitch. You can take that to Vegas. You can take that shit to Vegas. Like I said, at one point, it was 28-10, 31-10. They made a little surge at the end. But this Clemson team, it's just not what it used to be. It's not what it was in the past. It wasn't. It hasn't been. There's not much respect I can give to this Clemson team. You showed it. Time and time again, you have showed it. This year is just not your year. Shout out to all my Clemson fans. Y'all have been some of the most respectable fans in college football. You're not too overhyped. You don't come in with this, Alabama trophy case when you don't have one. That's very big. But you're just not ready for that big play, that big win. You beat SMU barely in the ACC championship. You come in here, you come to Texas, and you shit the bed. But Cade Klubnik, I'm telling you, balled out, brother. You did. But you just threw an interception when it mattered most and put your team behind. Just put your team behind. This Texas team did look really good when it comes to the stopping the run as well as running the ball down their throats. Like I said, 146 yards by Jaden Blue on 14 carries, brother. 10 yards per carry is something to be said, bro. It's something to be said. So shout out to the Texas Longhorns. I do respect I respect the Texas Longhorns. You're only 2 losses coming to Georgia. I understand. It's hard to beat Georgia. You may have to play them a third time. But coming up with the Arizona State game, like I said, I'll give Texas 14 plus on that. Take that to the bank. Take it to Vegas. Go ahead and do your thing. 14 plus against Arizona State. 14 plus, if not more. 14 plus on that. Because I just don't I don't see Arizona State. They haven't played anybody. Yes, they won their conference, but I don't see Arizona State doing anything against this Texas team. I think this Texas team is better than what most people would like to think at least. Getting into this next game, we're going to be talking about the Ohio State versus Tennessee. Now, Tennessee, you made the SEC look like shit. You made the SEC look like shit. You came into a game, your quarterback barely had 100 yards passing, and you lost 42-17 against the Ohio State team that lost to Michigan, lost to Oregon. Tennessee, I expected better from you. Now, Will Howard, have a game, brother. 24-29, 311 yards passing, 2 TDs, and only 1 interception. Only 1 interception by Will Howard against the Volunteers. Nico Alamaliva, if that's how you pronounce your fucking name, was 14 of 31 with only 104 yards passing, 77 of those coming to Peyton Lewis. If you did not watch this game, the Ohio State Buckeyes put up 21 points in the first quarter and 14 in the third. This game was not even close, brother. When it comes to total yards, the Ohio State Buckeyes put up a almost 500-yard game. Tennessee only had 250. Will Howard, like I said, put up 317 yards to Tennessee's 104. Rushing yards were about even with that 156 for Ohio State and 152 for the Tennessee Volunteers. And yards per play wasn't even close at 7.4 for Ohio State and 3.7 for the Tennessee Volunteers. I just don't. Did you shit the bed? Did you just not expect to come out and play a college football game against a Ohio State team who was very tough? What happened here? You made the SEC look disgraceful. It was just disgraceful. I was at a Christmas party watching this game, and I can say it was a disgrace to watch this game. To watch the Volunteers just buckle at the knees and not be ready for a team in Ohio State. But that being said, we do have a dumbass of the week. And that dumbass of the week is Jermaine Matthews. Let's go ahead and play the music for him. Play the music for Jermaine Matthews. Why? Because after the game, Jermaine Matthews decided to say in front of a camera, "We run through the SEC," while chanting, "SEC, SEC, SEC." Let me tell you something, Mr. Jermaine Matthews Jr. Yes, I use your entire government name. You are currently 5-14 versus the SEC in total record. In bowl games, that even goes lower to a 2-13. You do not run the SEC. The SEC Bill Cosby's you every time we play. Bill Cosby. We throw a little something in your drink and knock you out for the most part, and you lose. Tennessee, arguably, is not even a top 5 team in the SEC. Play the music real quick. Dumbass of the week, Mr. Jermaine Matthews Jr. Listen, you do not run through the SEC. The SEC runs through you. Even when Urban Meyer was there, even when back before whenever the BCS was there, Florida ran through you. You do not run through the SEC, especially not with a 5-14 record against the SEC. Did you beat the Tennessee Volunteers hands down? Absolutely. You put up 21 points in the first quarter. But to say you run through the SEC when you have a abysmal 5-14 record against the SEC, that is why you are earning the dumbass of the week. You're 5-14, brother, against the SEC. You don't run the SEC. You don't run through the SEC. Whenever you came against a team in Oregon, you lost. You just couldn't finish the game. Whenever you came within a team of Michigan, you lost. Mr. Ryan Day, the head coach of Ohio State, cannot beat Michigan. He cannot win the big games. And like I said, Tennessee may not even be a top 5 team looking at the teams in the SEC. And yet, after the game, you want to say that you run through the SEC. I don't know what to say to you, brother. You played little brother in the SEC in Tennessee, and you think somehow you run through the SEC? Congratulations, brother. You beat Tennessee. You only teams y'all played that were even significant this year, besides Penn State. Like I said, I don't give Penn State too much credit. Against Ohio State and your biggest rival in Michigan, you couldn't even beat. Don't come to me saying any bullshit about how you run through the SEC. You can't even run through Michigan. Mr. Ryan Day can't beat Michigan. So I don't want to hear that bullshit. Yes, you put up an amazing game against Tennessee, and y'all played very well. But to say you run through the SEC, you are a dumbass, and that's why you get Dumbass of the Week. Brought to you by the Augusta Hemp Company for all your hemp pre-rolls and liquid, as well as canine and gummy needs. Go there for whatever you need when it comes to hemp, THC, or anything like that. Don't come at me sideways talking about how you run through the SEC when you can't even beat Michigan. You couldn't even beat Oregon, the biggest game of the year. Could be them. Don't come at me sideways on some bullshit talking about how you run through the SEC when you beat, arguably, not even a top 5 team, arguably, in the SEC. I don't want to hear it. I don't have time for the bullshit. I don't have time for it. I don't have time for the bullshit from Ohio State fans. I just don't have time for it. I don't have the patience for bullshit like that. Now, Ohio State, did you play a really good fucking game? Yes, you did. You played an amazing game against the Tennessee Volunteers. But to say you run through the SEC, the Southeastern Conference, let's talk again, brother. Let's look at the records. I have it right here. 5-14 against the SEC and 2-13 in bowl games. Now you can say what you want, brother, but that doesn't look like you run through the SEC to me, brother. Looks like the SEC dominates you in every aspect of the game. So, dumbass of the week goes to Mr. Jermaine Matthews Jr. Congratulations, you earned the top spot this week when it comes to dumbass of the week. And let me tell you this, Christmas came early, for me at least. And why do you say that? Because my Dallas Cowboys have won 3 of the last 4 games, even though we got kicked out of the playoffs. So I'm a little bit bittersweet. It's a little bittersweet for me because we're winning, but we're going down in the selection for the draft. But we're going up in wins, brother. Almost at 500. Almost at 500 for my Cowboys. Let's clap it up. Almost at 500 for my Cowboys. We did beat the Bucs on a DaRon Bland play that you probably wouldn't think would happen for the Dallas Cowboys. But it in fact did happen for my Dallas Cowboys. Now, if you're looking at the box score, you're looking at 26-24. Total yards, Bucs killed us by almost 100 yards, 317-410. Pass yards, we beat them at 286-276. Rush yards, the Cowboys only had 31 rush yards, right? The Cowboys didn't run the ball against the Bucs. It just didn't happen. Compared to a 134 by the Buccaneers. Time of possession, they beat us 27-32 minutes. And turnovers, but they did have 2 turnovers. 1 pick by Baker Mayfield, which was taken out of the hand of the receiver. And then a fumble to lose the game with DaRon Bland stealing the ball to take it over for the Dallas Cowboys. Christmas came early for me. Shout out Santa Claus for bringing me a gift early. And a lot of people, listen, like my last podcast, a lot of people had issues with me talking about Santa Claus. Let me tell you this. For all the people hating on me for talking shit about Santa, I was drunk, first off. And if you listen to the entire podcast, it's simply me questioning why we use Santa as a figure for Christmas. That's it. That's all I did. It was just me being drunk and having drunk thoughts and thinking, well, just questioning, why do we use this guy? Why do we talk about this guy so much? That's simply it. That's all I asked. I didn't ask anything too terribly questionable. I simply said if it was any random guy, we would have an issue with it. We wouldn't want no guy staring at our kids while they sleep or awake, or putting them on a naughty or nice list. We wouldn't want that. That's all I said. For everybody taking issue with that, please take this finger, which is the middle finger if you're not watching via video. Sit on it and twirl, motherfucker. Sit on it and twirl. If you get upset because I have questions about Santa Claus now that I'm an adult, you need to question what you do in life. Because all I was questioning is why we use this guy so much as a figure for Christmas. Why, you ask? because I like questioning things. I have conversations with myself. I look up different things. I research. And Santa Claus was made, in fact, by Coca-Cola. Well, not made, but used as a promotional tactic to get people to buy their brand. And then the big stores, the big companies, you did the same thing to get you to buy during Christmas for your kids so that they can profit. That's it. And if you have a problem with that, lick my nuts, eat my ass. I don't give a damn. I don't care. I really don't care. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. It really doesn't. All I had to say was that Santa may be a figure we should or should not use in the future, and I was questioning him as a figure. That's it. That's all. That's it, motherfuckers. But shout out to the Cowboys for coming up big in a game that I thought they would lose. We have won 3 of the last 4 games, and yes, we were kicked out of playoff contention, but we're winning games, and we're also falling off the draft ladder, which also upsets me. But, we're winning. So, I mean, it's bittersweet, but Christmas came early for the boy, and I can't say that I'm not happy, because I am, because I love when they win. I love my Dallas Cowboys in every aspect. So yeah, and again, upcoming week we have some big game, or upcoming couple weeks we have some big games. Texas, Arizona State, Georgia, or Texas wins 14 plus. Georgia, Notre Dame 10 plus. Georgia. Let me look at the bracket. Who plays next? College football bracket. Let's take a look. All right. So let's look at the updated bracket, shall we? Notre Dame, you lose to Georgia, obviously. In my opinion, I don't think that's even going to be a close game. It's not. Boise State, I think you beat Penn State. Yes, a lot of people don't think that. I think you win by 3+ points. Ohio State, you lose to Oregon again by 3+ points. And like I said about Texas, Arizona State, you were just not built for this. You're not built for the college football playoff. You're not ready for it. This is not something you're built for or ready for. This is not something that you should even be a part of. But thank you for playing. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for having a conversation. Thank you for being in the conversation. But like I said, you're not going to win. You're not going to win this game against Texas. But I think the closest game is going to be that Ohio State Oregon game. I think probably 3+ by Oregon, maybe 2.5. I think Oregon is going to beat Ohio State again. I don't know. I don't believe in Ryan Day. I don't think he's going to make the calls he needs to make to win. I simply think he's going to fold like he usually does. He usually folds in these type of games, as he did before with Oregon, as he did before with Michigan. I don't think this is going to be a game in which he wins, but I do think it's going to be the closest game of that week. But I do hope you all on this Christmas Eve, and this will be releasing on Christmas Day. I hope you all have a great Christmas, even Georgia fans. I hope you have a great Christmas. I really do. I hope it's everything you dreamed of and hoped for coming up, and I just hope you have a really good Christmas. But again, talking to Georgia fans, it really pains me that you have such an easy route to the college football playoff championship. You play Notre Dame, which, like I said, 14+. And then you play the winner, Boise State, Penn State, which I think is going to be Penn State, or Boise State, I'm sorry, by 7+ points. I don't think they contain Ashton Gianti very well. Obviously, you did well, Penn State, against SMU against the run, but I don't think that happens here. I think Ashton Gianti just runs all over you. I think Georgia gets the big win in NOLA, baby, against Notre Dame, which Notre Dame, again, doesn't win the big ones, doesn't do well against big teams. And for all you arguing, what about Indiana in that first round? Indiana is not a big team to me. Indiana, this is just another game for you. Indiana is not a good team. You should have beat them by 50. But all I can say is I hope Santa brings a loss for Notre Dame, even though it pains me to see Georgia lose. Or Georgia win, I'm sorry. I think Ohio State loses to Oregon. I think Arizona State loses to Texas. And I think Penn State, in a big game against Boise State, cannot contain the rush and Ashton Gianti and loses to Boise State. I think Penn State will not be able to completely take care of Ashton. I think that Boise State will ultimately win this game. So, yeah, shout out to everybody. Merry Christmas to everybody who's been listening. I hope you've had a good one. I hope everything comes through fruition for you. It's go Tigers all the way. I don't care who wins the national championship. To me, the Tigers won. Go Cowboys. Thank everybody for listening and being a part of something that is bigger than me. Shout out to the 1,500 fans worldwide who have been listening. I mean, not even in the United States, but in China, but in Ireland and Japan. I mean, I have so many people listening. I really do appreciate everybody who's been a part of this ride, and it's only going to get better. This has been your host, the Jay Youngblood on the Jay Youngblood Experience. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part. Have a good night and a Merry, Merry Christmas.
SEC, we run through the SEC, boy.